Welcome back to Jeff Koinange Live here at Citizen Television. What an incredible, interesting conversation we're having with the best of media. That's right, because today's World Press Freedom Day. We'll talk about our freedoms here in Kenya. As much as we think we have all the press freedoms, sometimes we feel we're getting our wings clipped. And we've got Olo Janak, we've got Zubeida Kanan, we've got Dr. Harun Mwangi, we've got Eric Oduor, we've got Patience Nyange right here talking about these issues. And Eric, I heard you earlier on at the media event talking about how even some owners hold their employees ransom, or they treat them as
slaves. I use the word slaves because actually it has been stated, and I've seen my boss in the trade unions seated here, Francis Atwoli, and he said that the media is the headquarters of slavery in Kenya, because we are having a situation where we have got staff who go for months without pay, and nobody's talking about it, nobody wants to talk about it, and nobody wants to listen to it. So what we are saying is this, that for us to have meaningful discussion about press freedom, let us have these internal issues sorted out, because you can't go out there and say we have press freedom, but you haven't paid this person, because economic freedom is very important as much as press freedom is also important. So let us say, what are the media houses doing? Can we start have the discussion so that we can have pay structure in the media house?
Have you been talking about this, Eric?
Yes, I've done that. And whenever I talk about this, people think that I'm a madman. People say that, we have got different contracts. Today, I was just talking to a journalist who was injured during the demonstrations. And when this journalist went to meet the HR told him that, you are employed in this company as a contractor, an independent contractor, and therefore he is not treated as a staff. He was injured in line of duty. The company can't even pay for his medical bills. So this guy has to go into his own pocket and start fundraising. I also talked about a journalist who is in a hospital bed, who was sacked yesterday by the employer. So that means that even if you're talking about the people who are infringing on the rights of journalists, but it also is happening inside here. Why can't we start having this discussion about having the rights of journalists respected within the media houses by ensuring they are given proper tools of trade, they are properly remunerated, they are properly protected, so that when they go out there, that is when also the public will also respect them. But if you're having a journalist who haven't been paid for 5 months, how will he be respected out there in the eyes of the public? Well, the public also respect, because they hold us in high esteem. But you go there, you are looking broke. Your lips are dry. Yes, you are hungry, you are weak. How will these people respect you? Exactly. So we have to start it. So because these are the faces of the media house.
You are the object of sympathy.
Yes. And you'll be at the mercy of the politician.
Exactly.
So see you're hungry.
Of course. And they don't give you much. They'll give you 500. Because so that you go again tomorrow. Because again, you remain a slave. That's what I'm saying. You are a slave to a media house. You are a slave to the politicians. You are a slave to the people you are serving out there. So when you go out there and say, this is better, but you look broke. You are hungry. You've not eaten for 2 days. So these people are able to see the person we are serving as here, the person we are holding in high esteem, kumbe pia ni hot air. That's what we say. You need hot air. They wouldn't respect you. So that was saying that we must start also discussions within the media industry. How can we develop pay structure so that everybody feels protected, everybody is properly remunerated? Because by the end of the day, journalism is just work and profession just like any other, so that if you go out there, you are able to take care of your bills.
Let me say 2 things.
Go on, Doc.
Number one is that if you compare journalism in Africa with journalism in Europe, there's one key distinction. Journalism in Europe is funded by foundations and big philanthropists. Now, journalism in Kenya is funded by pure businessmen. And if you ask yourself how much money or the returns from of the companies goes to actually journalism, how much money? If you look in terms of budgeting, you find that there's insignificant amount that goes to journalism. But we also have another problem. Are journalism part of negotiation, and do they know even how much money is allocated to them in the budgets? Do they know that? Do they participate even in the budgeting processes? They don't. And therefore, they are left in the dark. If the company makes millions of shillings and they just allocate about 2% to to the journalism, then it means that journalism is not growing, and that has been one of the problems. One of the key things that came from the GAA is that the money was paid by GAA to the media houses, and the media houses continue claiming that the money has not been paid.
Well, GAA is Government Advertising Agency, for those who don't know.
Yes, they have paid, yes, but already the owners have diverted that money, and there's little that has gone to journalism, not even salaries, not even allowances. And therefore...
Where does it go?
Of course, now to other investment by the owner.
The question is, who owns the media?
I think that's where we need to go back to the drawing board. You know, this issue touches on two aspects. There is media sustainability and editorial independence, on the other hand. So when you don't pay your staff, or when you... I know our constitution doesn't give us the powers to negotiate remuneration, but it's a conversation that we need to have. So when you don't pay your staff, or when you retrench your staff, you know, because we've lost hundreds of journalists in the last couple of weeks, where is the problem? Where is the missing link? Is it that you're not getting money from the advertising and all that? Yeah. Is it a management issue? We need to sit down and analyze and see where the gaps are, because you can't just say, oh, we don't have money. You know, sometimes the question that comes up is that, oh, but we saw a commercial the other day, you know, so how do you tell us? How do you tell us that you don't have money to pay your staff? So we need to sit down and look at these conflicts that is eminent in our newsrooms right now, to see where the problem is. Is it a management issue? How do we handle it? And Kenya Media Sector Working Group has been going around the newsrooms, trying to speak to the heads of those newsrooms or media houses to try and identify where the problem is. On the other hand, there is the issue of commercial interest and editorial independence. So what are our priorities as a newsroom or media houses? What do we stand for? It takes us back to the conversation we had earlier. Who are our clients? Who should be our priority as media houses? The audience. And you know, we've been having this conversation, saying, advertisers have gone to social media. Yes, statistics show that we have like 21.7 million people who've shifted to social media. Have we asked ourselves why everybody has shifted to social media? Why are our audiences shifting to social media? What are we doing about it? It falls back to that editorial judgment. When, yes, we want money, but we need to have policies in place that draws that balance. That, yes, we want commercial, we want advertising, but also we need to serve our number one client, who is the audience. Why have people shifted to social media? This is a conversation that we need to have. Like, what content are we giving them? Are we giving them a reason to come back home and watch us? There are times that everybody would rush. There would be traffic because everybody is rushing home to watch Jitupevu, to watch case files, to watch, and it brings back the conversation you raised on investigative journalism. JKLive. Are we enticing the public? Are we appealing to them? Are we giving them content? Are we giving them value for their money?
Right.
We need to think about that as well.
Yeah.
So that it brings back the advertising that we've lost to social media. Let's draw them back. Let's sit down and see where the gaps are and try to seal those gaps. Because we can't just complain about audiences leaving, but we're not giving them value for their time. And again, editorial independence, when we say, let's kill that bulletin, let's kill that story, let's not air that story because that is our client, and maybe it's a story of public interest, that's how we lose it. Yes, so when we talk about media sustainability, editorial independence, editorial judgment, we need to sit down and see how are our revenue streams. Have we reviewed our rate cards, for example, so that instead of that client going to social media, they come back to us? You can't charge a client, for example, 2 million shillings, and on social media, where there is a bigger audience, they are paying, I think, 100,000 and so. So we need to go back and review our policies and how we do things in the newsroom to be able to pull back our advertising and advertisers and our audiences
so that we make money, that will be able to sustain us, that will be able to pay our bills, that will be able to pay our salaries as well.
Absolutely.
So it's up to us to go back to the drawing board and see where the gaps are.
Okay, Patience?
Well, I think media viability and media sustainability is a big conversation, which I'm not sure if we start now, we will be able to finalize on this conversation. And also, I want to believe that the shrinking media space has affected how business is done now. And even the business models as they are, you know, the emergence of digitization technology is also something that we must. I don't have to be home at 7 to watch news, but I watch news every day. Whether I get home at 11, I get home at midnight, I will still be able to go to YouTube and watch Jeff. If I didn't watch you at 10:30, I'll go back to my smart TV and just, rewind all the way and watch news. So that is really, it's changing. The business models are changing. And therefore the question is, are we adopting adequately? Are media houses being able to change and to think and rethink their models? Have we stuck to the same place that we imagine that people have to be home at 7 to watch news, that everyone is rushing? In Nairobi, you have to manage traffic jams, you have to manage, late hours at work, you have to be, when I was living here, my mom asked me, but Patience, what time will you be home? This show goes until midnight. I said, I'll be home at midnight, mommy. Because that's really, the situation as it is.
I agree, but you see now...
For a long time, we imagine that, news has to be at 7, news has to be at 9, but it's changing. And as we're changing, we must also sit down and start restructuring ourselves and looking at, as we're thinking about the audience, how is that audience also behaving? Have their lives changed with, the emergence of new trends within the media system, with the emergence of their own, lives? People change. When I was young, we watched news at 7 because they didn't have much of a choice. Now I don't need to watch news at 9. I can sit down in the morning at, 7 and watch last night's news. And it's still possible. So I think for us also it's a challenge to the media houses and media owners and everyone else who is working within this industry, as we're thinking about the changing shifts and the changing trends in all sectors. It's not just the media sector that is being affected. In the civil society space, we're talking about the shrinking civil society space. It is a concern for everyone. But as they're changing, there are other things that are coming on board, and there are more interests that are coming on board. The funding that has been there, it's not that it has changed. Interests have shifted. And as the interests shift, then the media too need to rethink their models, think through the business models as well.
But
okay, go on.
I want to say that the basic principle of journalism still remain. People still want to consume our products. What it is that we need to do? What we need to do is to ensure that we give value for the money, because we are going for pay for content. If you look at the best business models that actually are working, other than the journalism being supported by foundations and the trust, like Dr. Mwangi has said, but also it has to be supplemented by pay for content. We are no longer relying on advertising as the main revenue stream for the media. So how that is supposed to happen? That's what I'm saying. We need to have journalists who are properly remunerated, who are able to produce content which you can associate with. Content that if you are told to buy, subscribe, you will buy and you will get value for your money. But we've have a situation whereby nowadays if you go into newsrooms are literally empty. There are no people there who can collectively, because of course there are journalists there, but it's come a situation where you need quality. And quality, you can't expect one journalist to do 10, 20 stories in a day. You will compromise quality. You need a journalist who can sit down and dedicate his or her time in a story. You produce a story that if you put it on a paywall, you will be able to get your investment in that story. But we are getting a situation whereby we are coming with different models where we want to exploit journalists more, then pay them less. But instead of having quality journalism in newsroom, who will get you a return on investment? You invest in a story that if you put it out there, even me, I will be happy to pay. This is the question I ask the media managers. If you were to buy this story, will you buy it? Will you subscribe to it? But why are you having? You're having it because this is what you can do. You've refused to invest in investigative journalism. You are doing a story that even I'll get it on the blogs, I'll get it on social media for free. Why should I subscribe to it? But we are going to an era whereby you pay for the content, and that is the model that actually has been proven that is working elsewhere. You give me content that I can be happy with, content that I'll get value for my money, and I pay. rather than having content that is paid for by advertisers. So that is the shift that we have.
Dr. Mwangi.
Yes, I agree that the content is the king. And I also agree that globally, the returns on media has really gone down, actually globally, by 45%. That's too much. A combination of the returns for Nation and Standard has gone down by 45%. That's huge. That means that they have to retrench, and the newsroom now are all black-haired. You can never see a gray-haired man or a woman in the newsroom, meaning that there is no mentorship that is now possible within the newsroom, and therefore the content has also suffered. And once the content suffers, it means that it is the consumer really that doesn't get what he really wants, and therefore journalism must be constructive. And there's a very, very strong relationship between journalism, sustainability, and construction and constructive journalism. That means that the content my brother is talking about must be the content that speaks and resonates with the citizens. And I said earlier that it is not just the content that is of public interest, but it is a content that the public is interested in. That should be the focus that we should give to the new model of journalism. The community journalism is key. And of course, as she said, today we have seen a very narrow distinction between the editorial and commercial. So that anybody now, if you want to go back to the university, you go to Strathmore to study business. You are chief editor for Media House. Why is it so? Because you really have to look at how do I sustain the business. Initially, these two people could not meet, or these departments could not meet. Okay, there was kind of tension, which was held that time. But now, the editorial and business are just like operating like one. And therefore, that independence that my sister is talking about is completely narrowing. And therefore, the content is highly defined by the commercial return, that particular content. So that is a model that we are looking for.
Lojana, let me ask you this real quick. Does that mean we're becoming redundant? Like 5, 10, 15 years from now, we won't be here?
No, I think if the media, there's a rethinking, let me just give you, for example, when devolution set in, when the new constitution, set in, I had a huge argument within the media industry, and I was then at the media council, and I said, we had a big media conference, and I said, guys, first, within the new constitutional framework, the media must respond to the changed governance environment, devolution and so on. I mean, there are people who laughed it off. So we remain Nairobi-centric, even in terms of how we report. We are talking about traffic in Nairobi, which the guys in the village don't care about. They have never seen a car. The road has cereals, drying, and they haven't seen a car for the last 2 weeks or something. Now, we report, the mainstream media, the print, for example, are covering the counties in 2 pages, a brief here, a brief there. Who will buy that kind of paper? See that, eh? So we have lost it in terms of responding to certain changes that have come. For example, right now, if we are talking about, our colleagues here have talked about, we can't say that the media does not have money, or the media houses. In many other countries, if you make profits, you must be able to keep money for a rainy day. Where have all the profits been going? If they are paid by government advertising agency, I mean, this came recently. The advertising has been there before, and of course the pie has been big, largely from government and the corporate sector. If it comes every year and they have been declaring profits, where do they take the money? Isn't it reinvested? It means, therefore, that the news aspect of the media is not treated seriously as a public service. They want to raise money through the news and all these other things about journalism, but they want to take the money elsewhere. They want to sponsor a golf tournament. They want to sponsor something else, and champagne in hotels. When, for example, the journalists, who are the key people, the human resource is not treated properly, then you lose it. You see that, eh? Yeah. So I don't think that essentially the media will collapse in this country. Obviously, some will, okay? Yeah. But I think there is a wake-up call right now, and some kind of re-engineering that is happening in different media houses, even belatedly. I think people are watching JKLive.
Yes.
And you will probably tell us the rates and so on and what the kind of audience that, I see people even now, even young people, I've seen them tweeting and doing that and, waiting to hear what we are talking about. It means there's some value. You see that? You are bringing some value. Right. JKLive is bringing some value. Now, that is what every media house should think about. What value are you bringing to society? Over the last 5-6 years, there are sections of this country who have been saying, Githeri media. Why are they saying Githeri media?
They still call us that.
Yeah, it is because they are saying that we are being mundane. We are focusing on the more mundane things and not focusing on what the people think. The last 2 days, for example, I have questions here. People are saying, why didn't the media cover Maandamano yesterday? We have not been talking about that. What happened?
Jeff,
see that?
Good point.
Yeah. So in rounding off that point, I'm saying that the media is going to survive, but we must think very hard about responding to public expectations. And,
by the way, Olo, we covered the Maandamano, just for the record.
Yeah.
We covered it. We were all over it.
Briefly, Jeff.
Not all media houses.
On what you asked him.
Yes.
I think as media, we need, right now, news is consumed on the go. As she said, she won't rush home at 7 o'clock to watch news. So it's up to us as media houses to curate content that can be consumed on the go without waiting for the audience to come sit down and watch news on TV. Right. And we have the advantage of technology. You can cut short clips and share, short stories and share. And I'm happy that many media houses right now have digital departments, So instead of cutting clips from what has been discussed here on JKL, why don't we identify a team that will work on stories that will appeal to the masses out there instead of just posting what has aired on mainstream media. So we need to rethink. We need to embrace technology and use it to our advantage. And that comes with the kind of stories that we share out there. We're in competition with social media right now. People are rushing there because they get different stories. They get interesting stories, that excite them throughout the day. So why can't we do the same? Let's embrace technology. Let's curate and diversify our content. When you post a story there, it should be to the point and something that one can click and get all the information, get all the education they need. but we can't just sit and expect everybody to come back to watch us on TV. Let's ensure that they are watching us on the go. And it's about how we package our stories and the kind of stories that we share on social media.
That's where we're having a problem, because it has always been the game of numbers. So even if whoever is going on digital platforms, going on to the social media, is chasing non-existent numbers. What we need to do is let us add value to the society. That is what will help us. The media that will add value to the society, that is the media that is going to survive. But the media that is chasing non-existent numbers on digital platform and social media is facing problems. What we need to do, let us invest in quality journalism. Let us invest in our journalists to produce content. That is what people are looking for, so that even if Patience leaves this place at midnight, but she's looking for the quality content from JKLive, so that even if it is 2 a.m., she'll watch it. But if you are chasing non-existent numbers, nobody will follow that. So that is my point.
The world has shifted to social media, and we need to live to that.
That's what I'm saying. Even if you're going to social media, Madam President,
yes,
these people are looking for quality content there.
Yes, quality,
and it's not about the numbers. It's about the content. Are you adding value to my life? Why should I watch your show? Why should I consume your content? That is the question.
Speaking of quality, let's see what our audience thinks. Okay. Let me go to the magic wall and see what they think of this show and of you guys.
All the competition, they are still.
I see there.
Marco Seno, Doctari, says media fraternity in Kenya has made tremendous gains in ensuring freedom of press compared to our neighbors. More effort must be on safety to avert what we saw in Maandamano. A country with no media visibility is a dead country.
Agreed.
Agreed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said that.
Mboya Odhiambo says, great conversation on media freedom. We need media and information literacy to empower the public to understand and appreciate the role of the media.
Agreed.
Steve Karimi says, Kenyan press is not without blame. Ethical reporting is a foreign concept to our journalists. Many press people sell their souls to the highest bidder, especially when it comes to political analysis and reporting. Wow.
Agreed.
Wow.
Agreed.
You agree, Patience?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, it's,
Kiplimo Timothy says, journalists out there are silently suffering with meager pay, accompanied by huge responsibilities. Where will objectivity come from if you are hungry and angry? We should have a standard pay for journalists. Eric, that's what you're alluding to, right?
Exactly.
When you're looking dry, your lips are dry.
Yes, you are. You've not eaten for 2 days.
Correct.
An angry journalist is a dangerous journalist.
Exactly.
Stanfield Morrill says, Kenyan journalists are in a situation of damned if you do, damned if you don't. They become the enemy or friends depending on what the consumer wants to hear or read. Abdul Taraja says, all in all, the role of the media and journalists must be respected and accorded necessary protection all the way, despite their own shortcomings. We cannot afford to kill it. Good point. Erastus Wayne says, there's a lot of negativity, or rather a lot of negative environmental issues, but since it's not newsworthy, it's usually brushed off. How can we have the media, a more responsible institution, preventing such impacts, but rather drive the changes on solutions that should be delivered by the GOK? Yeah, if it bleeds, it leads. Remember, that's what they say?
Yeah.
Khalid Kibet says, there's a thin line between the media being objective and impartial and the media interfering with active investigations. This might compromise justice. Media must draw the line. There's one more.
Don't agree with that one.
This story would not have come out if it was not for the media.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Omela Vincent
reported
says,
fast.
love it or hate it, there's no institution that binds and informs the society more than the media. As a whole, let's focus more and maintain truthful reporting and unbiased journalism.
Good.
Interesting viewpoints. Thank you so much for your feedback, folks. Folks, we have about maybe 3-4 minutes left. I'm going to go around the room and we get final thoughts. Patience, we start with you.
Well, I think we have a responsibility as media people. Rights come with responsibility. We are in an industry or in a business that has a very key role to play in the society. And as we do that, we must do our work ethically. We must do our work with decorum. We must be able to observe the code of ethics that guides the work that we do. On the other hand, we demand respect. We demand to be respected in the work that we do. We demand protection from state organs. We demand protection from employers, from media owners, and collectively here with you, starting with you, you must make a commitment to see that this conversation continues. It's not a one-off conversation that happens because we're celebrating World Press Freedom Day, but let's ensure that as we report about everything else and anything else, let's also see that the conversation around journalism is also a conversation that is being done across the media houses.
Absolutely.
Do you make the commitment?
Yes, indeed. Yeah, absolutely. I agree. Totally agree. Eric.
So, Jeff, briefly, 2 things. Number one, let us protect the gains that we have. Let us improve what we have. Let us not destroy what we've already have. Then number 2, media employers, please pay your journalists.
Just like that.
Yes, that's done.
Dr. Haran Mwangi.
Yes.
We must appreciate the centrality of media in our society. We must appreciate that media is an important institution in building our democracy and in protecting human rights as well as development. We must appreciate media.
Absolutely appreciate media. Zubeida.
Kabisa. Niseme kwanza, kwa nini hatujaongea Kiswahili?
Si uongea basi.
Kwa nini hatujatuma salamu?
Si ndio? Hey, Wameru watafurahi.
ya taifa.
Ni lazima tusimamie uhuru wetu kama wanahabari. There's a lot, wacha nirudi tu, to be proud of and to celebrate. We've come from so far. There's a lot that we are doing that we will not be able to do a while back. So there's a lot to celebrate, lakini vile vile ni muhimu tuheshimiane. Kila mtu atambue haki zake za kimsingi ni gani na atekeleze haki hizo bila kukiuka haki za mtu mwingine. Vyombo vya habari vinahitaji kuheshimiwa. Wanahabari tujizatiti katika kazi zetu. Let's train our journalists, especially kama hivi mambo ya kukava mambo ya maandamano na kadhalika. Tuhakikishe kwamba we are investing in our journalists. Let's train them, let's empower them, let's create a safe space for them so that they feel at home, so that they give their all. Kwa sababu kama haujapewa ile motisha, hautawekeza katika kile chombo. Kwa hivyo let's invest in our journalists, let's fight for our space, let's stand for the truth, and let's review our policies to see that we have a fallback plan. When all these things happen, unajua kuna ile mtaenda mjitetee, that like they were saying, kwa nini journalists mlikuwa kwa gari ya wanasiasa na kadhalika. Let's have policies that are clear, because there is a report that was released. It will be launched very soon through partnership with Kenya Editors Guild. Yenye inaangalia the policies that we have in our newsroom. Do we have policies? Do they exist? Do the staff know that there are these policies that guide them or should guide them on what they do or what they stand for? So there's a lot to learn from everything that is happening. So let's go back to angalie tatizo liko wapi and review and improve where necessary. Lakini la msingi tuheshimu haki na uhuru wa vyombo vya habari, na nawavulia kofia wanahabari wote nchini kwa kazi ambayo mnaifanya.
Sasa tuma salamu kwa watu wenu wa Meru.
Antobeto bami.
Hello, Janak, you get the last word.
3 things. One is that this is a very important day, and I want to salute all the journalists and especially the Kenya Correspondence Media Network that took the marking of this day to the counties. And about 15 counties today, they were able to sensitize. If you are talking about media literacy, it was out there in the counties, and we saw on national television that it was marked across. Yeah. So a salute to all the journalists out there in the counties that did something towards that. Now, the second thing is that media, within the media sector, I think one of the things that we are calling for, and I think Patience Nyanga has been on this, internal peer review, internal introspection within the media sector is very important. I mean, the media is not without blemish. There are certain things, fundamental things that haven't been done right. But we are saying that because we have opted for self-regulation, we must do it ourselves rather than somebody else getting into that space. So the media sector must come together and ensure that, looking at the anchorage of the Constitution in terms of, media freedom, we must be able to guard that space. Thirdly, I'm devoting this day, the marking of the World Press Freedom Day, and it's fundamental because it's the 30th anniversary of the Windhoek Declaration. To the remembrance of a number of colleagues in Kenya who have lost their lives in the line of duty. I'll mention just a few of them. One is Francis Nyaruri, who was killed in June 2019, and whose, the issue has not been conclusively dealt with through the courts and so on, and the suspicion was that security agencies were involved in the death. We have the case of John Kitui, who was killed in 2015 in April in Eldoret. We have never had a conclusion or conclusive investigations into those kinds of cases. We have the case of Bernard Wesonga. We have the case of John Masha. We have the cases of a number of journalists. I'm devoting this day to remembering them and many other journalists who also suffered even during the KANU regime. Because then, if we are complaining about a narrowing civic space or assault on the media, then we expect that many more people could suffer. So we must remain vigilant.
Absolutely. Yeah. We must remain vigilant. Olo Janak, Zubeida Kananu, Dr. Haran Mwangi, Eric Oduor, Patience Nyanga. Thank you so much, folks.
Nimekuletea fomu ya kuingia keg.
Sawa.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Some wise words from some pretty wise people. Always remain vigilant. That's why they call us the fourth estate, right? Always remain vigilant. Thanks so much for watching JKLive. Remember, every Wednesday it's all about those 3 letters on the keyboard that follow each other. JKL. Check on your keyboard. JKL. Inspiration.
Yeah.
Take that to
Thank
the KEG.
you. Who knew that one day I would tweet about my competitor?
Today is here.
You see that?
Sio hujuma.
Ni hujuma. Hebu nitetee.
Nitakutetea. Mimi ni mtetezi, nitakutetea.
Jeff, you need to talk about hemorrhage in the media and transition. Perhaps that should be the next topic.
Next topic is when you guys come next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Next time we will also
you will
host
soon be
women
treated
in
as a
media
dinosaur
only.
internally here because of the young people that are around you.
Thanks so much for being a part of the show, folks. Good night, good luck. God bless Kenya and our media. All right.